Today we are going to do thermodynamics practical. Oh, you think how do you do this online? You may laugh at me. No, this is a simple thing that we can do at this difficult situation. How do you do this? First, we'll acquire the knowledge belongs to this particular appliance or the equipment or the important industrial application. What is this? It is a boiler, steam boiler. So we are going to do as the practical number one. Boiler. What is a boiler? Simply, you have seen domestic kitchen kettle. You may have whistling kettle or any other type of kettle. Once water is boiling, then you can see the whistling noise in the case of whistling kettle. Otherwise, you can see the steam leaves. So the boiler is not a whistling kettle, but it is the process is somewhat similar, the basic fundamental process. So it is a steam generator. Boiler is used to steam generate that the the whistling kettle, the domestic kettle we just use for take hot water. But here we generate steam for industrial applications. We'll see future what it is. Then simply you can say it's a big giant the industrial appliance or the equipment which generates steam. In addition, it is not simply one unit. It's a big. It is consisted with a big drum or a cylindrical uh, drum with end plates and with many refractories and many isolating the his isolationic materials, that means what you call lagging or refractories. So in addition, you have many other equipments like welds, water level gauges and pumps, controls, etc. So then you think it is, you may mesh up it like that. Even laboratory steam boiler, it's also simple one. It is not consistent with all the things that I have told. Don't mesh up with all these things. And in addition, what you should know is the official and legislative requirements to be fulfilled once we are using boilers. As an engineers, as an engineer, we should know these requirements. So, the major objective of doing this experiment, aware of the type of boilers and all the operation and its safety requirements and its major parts. In addition, the official and legislative requirements while the boilers are being used in industry. Now, type of boilers. You have two major types. You can have different types according to the construction, according to how it is installed, according to the size, capacities, etc. But here we concerned major classification, major types. Basically we can have these two types, fire tube boilers and water tube boilers. Basically we'll see fire tube boiler. In a fire tube boiler, the word itself, you are giving the meaning. You are given the meaning. So it is fire tube boiler. The fire goes through tubes, right? Then you refer the figure here slowly. You can see the outside in red color, somewhat pink like. Everywhere you have uh, uh, fire tube boiler figure, the second one, you can have the red color. So you have the fire goes through these tubes, but it is not much clear. Then in next slides you will understand. Anyhow, you just remember the fire goes through tubes without mixing with water, right? The water outside the drum. There are several number of tubes where the fire is going in. Here fire means you can see here burner is there. The as a fuel, the burner fires with heavy diesel or furnace oil. Then after firing furnace oil or heavy diesel, maybe coal, whatever, or firewood also possible. But the product of combustion as the flue gas flows through these tubes. So and finally leaves through a chimney. So outside the tubes you have a cylindrical drum. So then that is the type of fire tube boilers. The next case, I think now it is very clear that you don't need more and more clarification. The water tube boilers means water goes through tubes outside, like house. Everywhere you have flue gas, that means product of combustion. So next we'll see, you can understand easily even if you miss this slide. It is very clear, you can understand. It is coal-fired single pass boiler because the only one-way path, only forward path is there for the flue gas, and it passes through fire tubes. So this is the type of boiler you can understand. This is the fire tube boiler. Okay. This is outside how you see a industrial boiler. This is package type boiler. So it's if you see from outside, it's like this smaller one. This is also a fire tube boiler, but here it says two-pass boiler. Two-pass boiler means the yellow flue gas goes towards the end back plate side, and from the back plate side again it passes towards the forward side through tubes and goes comes to the front and leaves through the chimney. Chimney is not fitted here, but it can leave through the chimney. So this is two, because forward path and backward path, only two passes, number of passes. Okay, it is clear. This is three-pass boiler, but the passes are separated by the construction from front door as well as back door. That means from the front end as well as back end, you can have this separations with refractories with the construction itself. So don't worry how it is constructed. Once you go for our industrial visit, then you can observe these the type of boilers. Okay, but you clearly watch this or clearly look at and try to understand number of passes. Oh, now we have come to the second type of boilers, water tube boilers. This is the basic construction. You can refer each and every components you go through, and these are the parts of a water tube boiler. So you can name this, and you can basic construction is like this. Here outside you have flame or the flue gas. Here with a fuel burner is there. Outside everywhere with orange color and yellow color you have the flue gas, and the flue gas leaving path also available, and steam path also available. Exhaust gas also marked. So here you can see the exhaust leaving path, but in the construction chimney is fitted. Here you can't see the chimney. From the other side, back end we will say. So this is the type of water tube boilers. you have two drums here, lower drum at the bottom and upper drum, that are connected to number of tubes. And also, in order to take superheated steam, you don't know what superheated steam is, but you say it is not wet for the moment. So this is the basic construction for water tube boilers. So this is the industrial view of a water tube boiler. So it's consisted with many parts and the units or sub assemblies. Here this is one type of water tube boiler, and different type of water tube, that means construction. The parts are fitted different places according to the manufacturer, but basically the parts are, we have seen in the previous slide. So this is one construction for a water tube boiler. Okay, so once you go for industrial visit, we can see these boilers. This is hybrid boiler. So there are many improved and developed version of boilers are available in industry. You can refer through Google Scholars or Google and go in globally available boilers are there. So this is for the improvements. Industrial application of boilers. Here this particular application is a power generating plant. Here you have a boiler, but it is it's not a conventional fire tube or water tube boiler. It is a different steam generator or steam boiler driven by a nuclear reactor. It's a nuclear one. So therefore don't worry about the power source or the heating source, but somewhat similar to other boilers, but different part is the nuclear part. So in addition, you can see this is one application, because here the turbine is driven by the steam and it is coupled or connected to a generator. So it generates steams. Okay, but simply the steam leaving through the turbine again reach to a condenser, because the steam you can see, and again that condensed steam, that means water, again fed into the boiler or the steam generator. It's a cycle, right? But this is steam and steam cycles. It is not there in for your syllabi, but in future, after doing this, if you are doing power plant engineering, then you can self-study and learn these things in future after doing the degree program. Okay. Further, as we have seen in the previous, we'll see a few industrial application of boilers, especially in Sri Lanka. So you can have boilers in power generation plants. Example, in Sri Lanka, Kalinithissa power plant closer to New Kalini Bridge, CB1, and another one, recently erected one in Norachala coal power plant. So those two places you can see the boilers. In addition, you can have production plants. They can use the steam for their process heating. In addition, they can use for power generation too, so saving the power cost. So example, sugar industries in Sri Lanka, the Sevanagala and Palwatta sugar factories. Earlier we had sugar factories in Kantale and Hingurana too. So many, in addition, many process heating applications in industry, especially garment, rubber, chemical, food, etc., etc. So you can have in different factories in the various industrial locations and in factories. Okay. Now we have to study about legislation requirements. That means some sort of legal requirements. What you have to confirm. while the boilers are being used. So once in a factory or in industry they use boiler, so that particular boiler should be registered, and it should be certificated yearly. Like your vehicles, we have to obtain the license for the vehicle. Similar way, you have to certify your boilers yearly. Where the location, the organization is the factories Department of Labor, Sri Lanka. So they have different department with set of uh, inspection engineers. So the panel of engineers. So they are going to issue these uh, certificates. They are going to issue these certificates. So uh, for the boilers, not only these boilers. So then boilers are there. Then we have to operate boilers. Then from the operational point of view, so each operator or who is going to operate the boiler, they should have, any person can't go and operate boiler. So they should have some sort of competencies, skills required to operate a boiler. So they should fulfill this knowledge and skills. So in order to fulfill these required competencies, is that their skills and knowledge. So they have to prove these things to the panel of engineers appointed by the factories division of the Department of Labor. So they have to obtain a certificate facing to a examination, practical examination. So then only the certificate holders can operate boilers. Okay. Now we are reaching to the end. Now operational requirements for a boiler. So boiler itself, once you are operating a boiler, so these few things are important. The boiler should be provided with safety valves, very special, uh, because the boiler, the steam before leaving, before opening the valve, so the particular pressure to be maintained at a particular flow rate, because in order to rotate turbine, the steam flow should be there. So sufficient amount of steam should flow through these lines with a particular pressure or required pressure. Normally pressures are very high pressure, about more than 12 bars. Approximately we'll say 12. So it's a high pressure. Once blast is taken place, it's worse than a big bomb blast. So therefore, the highest pressure, because is if it is continuously pressurizing, it's a very high danger. Therefore, it should open at a particular highest pressure and relieve the pressure. So that is required. In order to do that, so there should be a safety valve, automatically operated safety valve. So that is, you should have more than one, it is better, at least two. One is specially mechanically operated one, another any other. So there may be more than two, or at least two, it is better, safety. So then another unit, water level control unit. So because the enough sufficient water level should be maintained, otherwise tubes, even fire tubes, even water tubes may burn. So therefore water level to be maintained. Therefore water level control unit is there with automatic water feeding or manual water feeding. This should be there. So next one is water should be treated, because water is always there inside the boiler or inside the tubes. The scaling as well as corrosion could be taken place. Therefore water should be treated. So they are according to the condition of water, the pH, alkalinity, that means calcium, magnesium, those things, and many those factors to be tested. Therefore sometimes depend upon the water treatment is required. It depends. So another thing is proper operation of boiler. So with the, because same play you can't do all these operations at once, right? So but you simply know that the sequence of operation is there, and for the smooth operation of a boiler. So you just remember that is to be studied. So within 2 hours of practical session we can't do that, but you are covering these. You should know those things. Then while boilers are being used, you have to minimize the power utilization or the power used, and you have to minimize the fuel saving. Fuel, that means saving, you have to save fuel, and you have to minimize the steam waste. So therefore you have to minimize power, you have to use minimum power, minimum fuel, and minimum steam waste. So those should be for in order to fulfill requirements. Okay, we have finished the laboratory and background knowledge for steam boiler. So once we start the university, so I will demonstrate for the whole batch uh, with a simple boiler. Now, as the laboratory work, what you should do is you have to prepare a handwritten brief report, and submit it to the course web on boilers, covering following things. So that is your report. That's all. Okay, you have to take care yourself, adhere to the measures taken from the governments to reduce vulnerability with this serious virus, spreading virus, COVID-19, until the mitigation is completed. Take care. Important thing, you should remember what you have studied. Take care. Have a good day.